There was a saying that one of my friends said I was very fond of, that if you come from the ghetto, either you're going to make it all the way to the top or you'll just stay in the ghetto. There's no middle class. It's like, why even bother being middle class? And I think that really fueled a lot of my decisions. I really, really wanted a job in investment banking. And if you were of age in the time I was growing up, the movie Wall Street was very iconic. I dreamed the day that I too could issue bonds to buy and sell companies and live in New York and control billions of dollars in capital. It was an incredible fantasy, right? Unlimited wealth. The problem was, I didn't have the right background. I-banks would rather hire from the bottom of the class at Harvard than the top of the class anywhere else. And as someone who went to UC San Diego, like, your school isn't going to get you in. But where there's a will, there's a way. And it turned out one of the happy accidents was that when I was 18 years old, my parents bought me as a graduation present, kind of a gag, kind of a graduation present, 1 share of Microsoft. And so when I was in college, I would go around telling people that I co-own a business with Bill Gates, which is technically true. If you own 1 share of Microsoft, you are a capital partner in a joint venture with Bill Gates. But the other thing also that owning a share does is it gets you an invitation to the annual shareholders meeting. And this was really valuable. Any share you own gets you that invite. After graduating college, not securing a job immediately, my family lived in the San Francisco area, so I bought 1 share of stock in the Bay Area's top 20 companies. And with that 1 share, that got me invitations to about 20 shareholder meetings every single year. And I attended. I showed up in the room. I listened to all the CEOs do their presentations, and I was definitely the youngest guy in the room. I was definitely the poorest guy in the room, but I was in the room. I was in the room of people that in the exact industry I wanted to be in. And it just became a matter of talking to people, introducing yourself, presenting in a not weird way, and hey, we would love to have you at blah, blah, blah company, and that's exactly what happened at an Oracle shareholder meeting. Someone took a shine to me, we were talking, and he goes, and what are you doing here? Oh, I'm looking after my Oracle interests, all $23 worth or whatever it was at the time. But also, he's like, what are you doing now? I'm looking at a couple of investment banking firms. Really? I went to Harvard Biz School, da-da-da-da. Like, here's my card. Send me a resume. I'll make sure he sees, oh, well, thank you very much, sir. And that intro got me on the interview queue, which got me a position at Montgomery Securities, a extremely prestigious investment banking firm in San Francisco. There was an incident when I was in my bank that stood out to me after all these years. One of the managing directors, which is the highest ranking person in an investment banking firm, he had a small family, and tragic story, his eldest son, 11 years old, had some sort of horrible kid cancer, died, it's like one of those heartbreaking things, right? And so being someone, he's processing his grief his own way, he said, I'm gonna do a fundraiser. I'm gonna fund research to cure the cancer that killed my kid, which is okay, it's a very noble cause. So, because he's a banker, at the managing director level, they're making about $1 million a year. So okay, I'm gonna do this thing, we're at this restaurant, and every ticket's $1,000, and he sends an email to everyone in the bank, because everyone else here is at my level, yeah, you're making $1 million, throw $1,000 to whatever. And so and he sends an email out, everyone RSVPs typically are other managing directors, VPs, and whatnot. And one of my fellow analyst classmates, he also responded. He bought one of these tickets, $1,000 ticket at 23 years old. And I know what I was making. I know he was making the same salary. I'm like, what are you doing spending $1,000? All of our meals are comp, you moron. But here's the thing I realized. He was the youngest guy he did a smarter version of what I did to get to the bank. He was the youngest guy in the room. And not surprisingly, thereafter, his career took off. That managing director saw him there, and he teared up. There were other people that gave more money, but he knew how much it represented of this guy's salary. So I'm here as well. And obviously he has a selfish agenda, we all do, but it didn't shy him from making that contribution when it was a huge fraction of his paycheck. It got me thinking about my own contributions. A couple years ago when I had a very good year financially, the Exploratorium, a science museum in San Francisco, opened and they had a fundraising campaign. And the major donor category was $10,000, which is a ton of money. I had a good year, but I was like, it's so much. Grit my teeth and did it. And the other nice thing is I think you have a little acknowledgement that says, here's all of our big donors, there's a list of names. And once you're a major donor, what happens, you also get invited to major donor events. Lots of events in which it's people that gave, in this case, 10 grand and up. So I got it at the lowest margins. I was in part, again, the youngest person in the room, the poorest guy in the room, but all the important deals were done in the room. And if you look closer at the names, I realize it's hard to tell, but in San Francisco, a place where so many Asian Americans have made so many fortunes, how many Asian names are there? 2. Then mine's one of them. We have so much wealth. It's not, I'm not talking about the ones that are struggling. Obviously, take care of yourself. But how many times have we, in our largesse, managed to make a contribution to something and go, oh, you know what, I'll give away money when I'm old and everything is already all settled. And the thing is that part of the glass ceiling we talk about, the bamboo ceiling, is that where are all these deals being done? They're all being done in these locations. The thing is, the price of entry for many people is exactly 10 Gs or whatever amount you can afford. We talk about this in terms of, we're being frozen out. It's racism. It's like, no, tons and tons of people want to be CEOs. Tons of people want to be directors. And when they have a committee of who do we choose to promote to be VP, is it the guy with the highest GPA? Oh, it's not fair. I went to Stanford, and this jackass, it's some white. And guess what? They knew the white guy because he was out there. He was giving to the campaign. He was volunteering. He was a known presence. And Guanxi works both ways. This is something that I've wanted to encourage for the Asian American community. I gave a talk. I started my own foundation, Citizen Medic, as a volunteer instructor for the Red Cross. And this is something that we struggle with within the Asian American community, is why, if you look at Wikipedia's entry on income by race in the US, did you know that Asian Americans actually clear 80,000? Do you know how much the average white household clears? 50K. We're out earning the white man in his own land. And that's averaging in all the Asian Americans that are freshly coming to the country. Their English isn't that good. And yet, if you look at charitable giving, what happens? Right, rock bottom. Let's start giving as if we're at the top of the earning curve. Let's start behaving as if we've won, because in many ways, we already have. Thank you.